The screen goes black, then a single voice, cold, intimate, laughter threaded with something like triumph, whispers, "Hello, Sidney. Did you miss me?" And just like that, every hair on your neck stands up. The trailer for Scream 7 drops a single savage promise. This isn't a reunion tour, it's a reckoning. Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell, is back in her hometown with a daughter at her side, and Ghostface is more personal, more vicious, and somehow angrier than ever. If you watched the clip and felt your chest tighten when the killer said, "I'm gonna burn it all down," you weren't alone. That line lands like a match on dry tinder, and the rest of the trailer is the blaze. The film, officially dated for a wide release on February 27, 2026, opens a new chapter in a franchise that built itself on twisting knives, genre-savvy jokes, and the brutal poetry of survivors fighting their pasts. And now the past is fingernails close and prodding. The doorway recap of background story. To understand why this trailer feels like a betrayal and a promise at the same time, you have to remember what Scream built. A meta-horror house of mirrors where the rules are both a comfort and a trap. Sidney Prescott has been the heart of that house since 1996. The girl who survived the original slaughter, who became an icon, a target, and ultimately a kind of tragic heroine chained to a legacy she never asked for. Over the franchise's long arc, friends died, alliances shifted, and the mask kept changing hands. But Sidney's trauma remained the spine. The modern Scream sequels tried to expand the mythology, bringing in new survivors, new killers, and new takes on what it means to be famous for surviving. Scream 7 explicitly leans into that lineage by bringing Campbell back and positioning her proximity to the new violence as the emotional tinder. Her daughter is now the focal point, an inheritance of danger that feels both intimate and devastating. Main event or gossip breakdown, trailer beats and story hints. Watch the trailer closely and you'll see the filmmakers layering old, pain over new paranoia. The setup is deceptively simple. Sidney's settled into a quieter life. She's got a daughter, played by Isabel May, and a picturesque town that looks harmless by daylight turns menacing at night. The killer's voice is intimate, almost familial, hinting at a history with Sidney that's more than surface-level menace. There are 3 trailer moments that demand attention. First, the echo of the past when the killer references "where we grew up," which suggests someone who knows Sidney's history in grisly detail. Second, the chilling live guidance sequence where a voice coaches someone to shoot to the right of the door and make sure you shoot him in the head, turning the trailer moment into a macabre how-to. And third, the incendiary vow, "I'm gonna burn it all down, Mother," which reads like more than bravado. It's a declaration tied to lineage and revenge. Those beats build the sense that this Ghostface is not just a random copycat, but someone with skin in Sidney's personal story. A fact that reshapes the stakes from survival horror to catastrophic family drama reactions. From celebrities, fans, public, and media. The internet exploded the moment Paramount released the trailer. Fans who'd been longing for Campbell's return posted tearful clips. Others dissected every frame for Easter eggs, and the debates were immediate. Was this a satisfying return to form or a calculated nostalgic play? Reporters and coverage across outlets flagged 2 emotional axes: joy at Campbell's comeback and unease about how the franchise has handled cast upheaval behind the scenes. Social feeds are split between "this is the Sidney we needed" and "wait, is the movie leaning too hard into trauma as spectacle?" Celebrity reactions were quick to amplify the hype. Fellow actors praised the trailer's tone and Campbell's screen presence, while horror influencers praised the tight pacing and the palpable menace of the new Ghostface. Trade outlets called the trailer a moment, a bold marketing push timed to remind casual viewers why Scream used to dominate Halloween conversation. All told, the response is a cocktail of nostalgia, suspicion, and raw excitement. Perfect fuel for box office engines hungry for conversation. Hidden or lesser-known details, Easter eggs, production notes. Pause the trailer on the close-ups and you'll catch nuanced callbacks that reward Scream nerds, a framed photograph, a background radio playing a song that once scored a previous killing, and accents of visual motifs, the same slanted light, the fractured reflections, the quick cuts that mimic panic, all deliberately echoing earlier films. There's also the subtle placement of certain returning characters in frames that make you question who's dead and who's pretending to be. The trailer teases returns beyond Campbell and Courteney Cox, hinting agents may have negotiated cameos or shock revivals that will fuel water cooler spoilers. Behind the scenes, the production notes reveal a rocky road. Scream 7 went through directorial churn and high-profile exits in the last few years, and the film's creative course was retooled before Kevin Williamson stepped in to direct, a move that carries emotional weight because Williamson is the franchise's original architect. Those shifts likely influence the tonal swing towards something both reverential and raw, and they help explain moments in the trailer that feel like deliberate course corrections to make the movie feel like a true Scream story. Expert insider opinions, realistic insider-style commentary. From the studio side, insiders whisper that this trailer is engineered to stabilize a franchise that's had PR turbulence. Bringing Neve Campbell back is a strategic win because her presence reassures longtime fans and anchors marketing narratives. An industry creative I spoke with off the record said, "Williamson directing is a big emotional signal. It says we're returning to the series' DNA, the meta-language, the survivor's perspective, but darker." Another former marketing strategist noted that positioning Sidney's daughter at the center is a shrewd play. It introduces a generational angle that opens the franchise to new sequels without erasing Sidney's legacy. On the creative side, a source close to casting called the ensemble a chessboard, putting established names like Joel McHale and Mark Consuelos next to rising stars like McKenna Grace and Isabel May creates mixed casting chemistry that heightens audience suspicion. Any face can be a suspect. Finally, a stunt coordinator who worked on recent horror sequels hinted that there are at least 2 set pieces in the film, built around one-take choreography, which would be a visceral, showy callback to the kinetic killing sequences fans salivate over. Insider observations are paraphrased to preserve source anonymity and reflect industry chatter. What this means for careers, public image, and the future of the franchise. For Neve Campbell, this is a reclamation arc. Not just as an actress returning to an iconic role, but as a brand reclaiming ownership of her narrative. After contractual disputes and a hiatus, Campbell's comeback can be read as both vindication and risk. If Scream 7 succeeds, she reasserts Sidney as a living anchor of the franchise. If it falters, critics will frame the comeback as a nostalgia papering over creative rot. For Courteney Cox and the returning legacy cast, the film offers renewed visibility and the opportunity to complexify their characters beyond cameo fan service. For younger cast members, this is a career accelerant. Being associated with a high-profile horror tentpole can open doors to both genre work and mainstream features, especially for Isabel May and McKenna Grace, whose on-screen interplay with Campbell will be a key career moment. For the franchise itself, Scream 7's direction signals 2 possible futures. A continued serialized saga that uses Sidney's lineage as the emotional compass, or a franchise reboot that uses family trauma to spin off new lead stars. The marketing, centered on Campbell but peppered with ensemble teases, suggests Paramount is keeping both doors open. What this means for careers, public image, and the future of the franchise. For Neve Campbell, this is a reclamation arc. Not just as an actress returning to an iconic role, but as a brand reclaiming ownership of her narrative. After contractual disputes and a hiatus, Campbell's comeback can be read as both vindication and risk. If Scream 7 succeeds, she reasserts Sidney as a living anchor of the franchise. If it falters, critics will frame the comeback as a nostalgia papering over creative rot. For Courteney Cox and the returning legacy cast, the film offers renewed visibility and the opportunity to complexify their characters beyond cameo fan service. For younger cast members, this is a career accelerant. Being associated with a high-profile horror tentpole can open doors to both genre work and mainstream features, especially for Isabel May and McKenna Grace, whose on-screen interplay with Campbell will be a key career moment. For the franchise itself, Scream 7's direction signals 2 possible futures. A continued serialized saga that uses Sidney's lineage as the emotional compass, or a franchise reboot that uses family trauma to spin off new lead stars. The marketing, centered on Campbell but peppered with ensemble teases, suggests Paramount is keeping both doors open. Comparison 2. Past events or relationships, franchise echoes industry parallels. Compare this trailer to the original 1996 film and you'll notice a conversation across decades. The original used youthful vulnerability and satirical awareness to critique celebrity and horror tropes. Scream 7 appears to reply with a bleaker thesis, Trauma doesn't get meta notes, it gets inheritance. Where Sidney once navigated fear as a young woman contending with past abuse, she now contends with the moral calculus of protecting the next generation. That shift turns the franchise's old game, asking what horror does to identity, into a more tragic question. What cost do survivors pay to shield the young? Industry parallels matter too. This is franchise making in a post-reboot world where studios leverage legacy characters to sell event cinema. Think of it like the way other long-running properties have returned older heroes to mentor newer ones, sometimes successfully, look at the emotional payoffs, sometimes clumsily. Scream 7's trailer signals it's trying to thread the needle, honoring legacy while staking out a darker, more personal direction. Closing, emotional pull, and voiceover-ready sign-off, so where does that leave us? Standing on the porch as the wind carries the killer's whisper, feeling both comforted by the familiar and horrified by the fresh cruelty waiting inside. Scream 7 isn't promising a predictable sequel. The trailer proposes a confrontation with the franchise's own ghosts, literally and figuratively, and asks us to consider whether survival is an inheritance or a sentence. When Sidney tells someone to shoot him now, and the voice replies, "You got him," we see how trust and terror are braided together in this world. The film arrives Feb 27, 2026, and whether you go because you've loved these knives since you were a teen or because you want to watch Sidney finally try to end the cycle, this trailer has already done its job. It has made the return feel like an event, urgent and personal. Strap in for a ride that promises both burn and balm, and get ready to be forced to ask the franchise's oldest question all over again. Who survives? And what does survival cost?